It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Cork the Kid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom, from movies, comics, TV shows, video games. We got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. Court, it's another one of our famous let's talk about all the trailers episodes.
Yeah, there's actually 1.3 million trailers we have to talk about, so.
Yeah, so many. And then we also didn't see the Hunger Games, so can't talk about that.
Well, technically it didn't happen yet, so it's in a far future.
True. We can talk about it at a later date then.
See? We can wait till whatever year that the war's going to happen. We'll just wait till, what is this, the 10th annual Hunger Games?
Yeah.
We'll wait till then, and then we'll talk about it.
And then we'll commentate, live commentary.
Oh, we get to commentate with Caesar Flickerman's, what is that, his grandpa?
Probably.
Has to be. Well, Caesar Flickerman's a Nepo baby, so.
Yeah, that's the biggest revelation coming out of this movie.
Yep. Who cares about snow or anything with him?
But, yeah, so we're not talking about the Hunger Games, but we are going to talk about a bunch of trailers, including, so what do we got?
So we have The Boys Season 4, that was a highly anticipated trailer.
And all these trailers came out, like, in the same day,
well, it
by
was
the way.
the CCXP was going on, so.
Whatever that means.
Yep.
I hate communism.
Nope, that's not it. That's not it.
Yeah, we got The Boys, we got House of the Dragon, we got Fallout,
Not Mission Impossible. Fallout.
Not Mission Impossible Fallout, but Fallout based on the video game series. And then we got an actual video game trailer with Grand Theft Auto 6 finally was unveiled.
And Rob's going to use that as the thumbnail so we get more views.
Yeah, like one of the most watched trailers ever.
Ever. Movies, TVs, get video gifts, one of the single most watched trailers on planet Earth.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But we do have a little bit of news to talk about. First on top, so we have Deadpool. We talked about this a little bit last week about, like, leak culture, I guess, is the best way to explain it.
And we also have an episode dedicated to leak culture. And
yeah.
But
it's no good.
It is no good, and it's starting to really dismantle, the very I'm thinking too deeply into this. But, it's true. It's really starting to affect the way that we watch movies, and this idea of hype behind a movie is kind of this modern ideal, and it's very weird, and retroactively thinking it is a very unwarranted concept, but the only reason it has a place to stay is because people make money off this. When people can make money off something, then it's usually a mainstay. So how many YouTube channels are run based off, we know what's going to happen in this thing, or we're going to break down this trailer for the trailer for the trailer for the thing, or,
Set photos
that came out. Like, there's no more, and like, we do the trailer for the trailer thing, but like, always is going to become tough is when you're always going to talk about something that is meant to just be out and meant to just speculation from a trailer. The studio released the trailer. That's great. But like, people scouting set photos to make sure they get the first leak on something is deteriorating what we know as, going to the movies and having a genuine experience. Because I have no life, I watched the Avengers Endgame yesterday, and I just thought about, like, that. Like, there could have been a little bit or whatever, but there wasn't this massive, like, leak. I think there might have been, but, that one was kind of more avoidable, because it's like, hey, don't click this, because, but now it's just normal. Like, the big outlets are going to post the set photos and stuff like that. It's weird. And it's taking away from going into the theater and having that wonder that we talk about ever so often.
Especially for this movie where, like, it's kind of predicated, that's kind of selling it short, because I think it's going to be really good. But, like, a lot of it is these kind of, like, surprises and this wow factor. And weirdly enough, like, Ryan Reynolds, I feel like, is the best person equipped to handle this particular issue.
Right.
Because he has since come out and posted, like, basically, like, meme set photos of, like, Predator and, like, Deadpool holding up a bag of money with, like, Mickey Mouse standing behind him.
That's good stuff.
And he released, like, a different statement basically saying, like, look, these things happen, but you know, it's super important to us to film things on location, and, you know, and that's kind of been an issue too. Like, people go, why does such and such movie look like crap? Well, because a lot of these studios and directors are kind of afraid to shoot on location with these massive projects because they don't want stuff to get leaked. So Ryan Reynolds is basically like, hey, we're going to do that anyway. Even though stuff got leaked, like, he still feels like there's a ton of other cool surprises still in store. So, and he really believes in the project. I mean, this goes all the way back to like Deadpool 1 with him, where like it was never even supposed to be a thing. Like, it was never supposed to get made, and then someone, Ryan Reynolds, leaked that the test footage, and then it literally spawned the first movie, Deadpool movie, which made $1 billion. The second one was really, really good. I watched them both on Thanksgiving Day. They were on just regular TV.
What a way to spend your Thanksgiving.
And they're both still really great. They're still really funny. Like, all the jokes still land. So I'm expecting this one to be good. And, you know, like I said, Ryan Reynolds is probably the best. And Hugh Jackman, honestly, to some extent. Both of them are really well equipped to deal with this particular issue. And I don't think these leaks have really hampered my anticipation for this movie, because I think it's going to be really good.
And I know they have some stuff up their sleeves because we keep seeing the same set photos from this movie. And I thought about that. I was like, we've only seen one location out of a movie that's going to be probably... How long? Did they say how long this movie's going to be? I don't think they've said anything, but a movie that, you know, probably will be 2 hours plus.
Is the only Marvel Studios movie set for next year.
Yeah, because we're not gonna get Brave New World next year. So this movie's gonna have some time to breathe, and I think they're happy with that, because I do think there's gonna be some things in this movie that's gonna, you know, shake what the MCU as we know it is.
Yeah. And then from one thing to the other, so The Last of Us, I guess kind of pairing with the House of the Dragon stuff that we're going to talk about later, The Last of Us is going to resume filming in January. So it'll be coming out in 2025. So kind of not surprised.
Yeah, and I think that January slot is going to just now be synonymous with The Last of Us. It's going to be like we are, because now, and then the same thing like we're going to talk about when you talk about House of the Dragon Season 2. House of the Dragon Season 2 is probably going to come out in August like it did before. Last of Us is probably going to take the January slot. I just think it makes a lot of sense. It's a great way to start the year. So obviously we have to go 1 year without The Last of Us. We are going to have the remaster, though, for part 2.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Which is interesting timing, if you ask me, that we're going to get this remaster and then we're getting part 2. So, yeah, obviously we're super excited for Season 2.
Yeah.
Obviously the big question is, how do you structure Season 2? I think we knew that going in that was going to be the number one question, because as soon as Mason said, hey, Season 1 is going to be the first game, now you have some room to play with. So I don't want to launch into spoilers.
And he said there's going to be more seasons past Season 2.
Right.
So the second game is going to be broken up somehow.
Right.
Or maybe this next season is kind of a build-up to the second game, and this kind of you kind of let Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann kind of explore the in-between of Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, that was the point that I talked to you about off of here, was this is the beauty of having Craig Mazin, because you might get a decent show without Craig Mazin. You get a phenomenal show with Craig Mazin, but I think the number one thing that you get him in for is probably this. It's probably this in-between time between 1 and 2, where we don't know really what happened in between 1 and 2. Obviously, you can put pieces together from the first game to the second game, but now you're going to understand, you know, some more of these things. Some characters are going to be fleshed out. Some relationships are going to be either built or broken, and I think that's important. So no other person in Hollywood, I don't think, is better than Craig Mazin to do this right now. So
yeah, and just in terms of, like, I feel like if that's the route they're going to go with it, they can definitely afford to lean into the world a little bit more, which I think is really his wheelhouse. Obviously, if you watch Chernobyl, like, it was really the feeling of the world of that show that made it, you know, so successful.
Right.
Just the way he built that whole kind of structure around this location, and really built this uneasiness and like this tension just in the world itself. And I think there were elements of that in the first season of Last of Us. I think about the first episode in particular did that really well.
I just think his biggest asset is his humanity, and not just as humanity, his understanding of human nature, I think it's something to be studied, in my opinion. Through Chernobyl and The Last of Us season 1, like, he has an understanding on, what makes humans tick on, like, an audience level and in universe level. Like, all those things are super realized.
Yep.
And I just can't wait to see, because this is going to be uncharted territory for a lot of people. So, again, I think the biggest asset that this show has going is the fact that he's just here. Like, him and Druckmann are here. So you have the person that made it, and you have this incredible storyteller. You have 2 incredible storytellers on top of that trying to work this out. I think it's going to go well. Yeah. And then I might get my dream of The Last of Us Part 3 being announced in 2 hours. Being announced.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the Game Awards have in store. And I mean, honestly, if I'm thinking about this show and doing a season 2 and knowing the second game and knowing that a lot of people know the second game, why not use that against them? Yeah. Against us. Right. And like build to it, but like don't get there. Like, let the anticipation like kind of drag out a little bit, I think would be great. Because like I feel like that's what Game of Thrones did really well, at least in the earlier seasons, was kind of using the knowledge against people. So I think you could also do that. People who know, it's like that the Mr. Incredible meme. Those who don't know, those who know. In particular for The Last of Us Part 2, use it against those who know, make them anticipate the big moment, that obviously I'm not going to spoil here, but, yeah, that's what I would do. I would drag this thing out. I would do a lot of establishing of, where Joel and Ellie's relationship goes.
I mean, that's the number one thing you have to do. I also think you need to flesh out Jackson, like, wholly. Like, you need to make Jackson live. Like, essentially what you got to do is, obviously, it doesn't need to be to this extent, but maybe you try to treat Jackson how, just making it simple, how, like, the Batman mythos treats Gotham, or, like, it needs to be this place that also lives and breathes, because then that will give it a sense of something that needs to be protected and saved. And then, that might help you in season 2 to get to the bridge point.
And then, I mean, obviously this is going to be revealed with the casting, I would assume, but you also have to develop Abby. I'm not going to dive into like her story or anything, but she is a main character of The Last of Us Part 2, and one of my minor critiques of it is the pacing of it and kind of how her story kind of mixes in with Joel and Ellie's story. And then I think if the game had done with her what I hope the show does, in the sense of like, here's this character, here's how she's existed in this world for however long she's been around, and here's how she here's how she sees the world, here's how she sees the people around her, and really ground her and give her kind of a point of view. I think that'll really allow them to make her a character that the grander audience kind of tolerates better. Because that's her story really is interesting.
I think it's very interesting. I think and I hope the remaster helps it a little bit and people have had time to breathe. I mean, should we talk spoilers about this for a second, or should we save this for another day? Because,
we can save it.
Yeah, this is a discussion that's, because I, from the bottom of my heart, think that The Last of Us Part 2 is near perfect, and I don't think anybody, there's a wave of people that would say that game is an absolute travesty to gaming, which I think is insane, because it's coming from the same universe. You just don't like the thing that happened. That's my theory, and it will always be my theory.
The Last of Us Part 2 was also a victim of leak culture.
Yep.
The plot of the game got spoiled before it released, and people were furious.
Yeah, and I wasn't into The Last of Us at that point. I just knew that happened at that point. I heard about it, and then me playing, and now me being the Last of Us fan that I am, now I know how that must have went over. But
yeah, it was crazy time. But yeah, we'll see what happens with season 2 and that gets rolling, and I'm excited for it. Like, the first season is, pristine television. Like, there's really no other way to think about it. Speaking of pristine things, so last week we talked about Marvel and the kind of mess that they found themselves in the hiatus since we've been gone, and one of the sticking points was about Blade and how that movie was a mess, and it was being basically redone from the ground up with a smaller budget, a little bit lower of the budget, and apparently things are moving along quite well, to the point where Mahershala Ali is quite pleased with the product, and he's gaining confidence, which is good. Yeah. It's good when your main star is confident in your project. Right. So I mean, I think this was always the direction this movie should have gone in the first place. Lower budget, kind of grittier, probably going to be R-rated. Yep. And
Deadpool 3 is a good litmus test to see where we're going to be, because obviously that gets, a little bit of a pass, because obviously it had to have been R-rated, but we're just going to see if people will see, a non-Deadpool movie from the MCU that's R-rated.
Well, we're going to also see it with Echo.
Yeah, with Echo,
TV.
We're going to see these darker tones. And, people received that Echo trailer, including us, pretty well, which I thought was pretty outstanding. So, you don't waste a 2-time Oscar winner. You just don't waste that. You don't let...
They already wasted him once.
Yeah, they did waste him once. And the fact that he stayed must have took some convincing. But,
Marvel did waste him once. They already... As in Luke Cage.
Right. Yeah, they did. And, for him to come back and be... And, one day... We haven't talked about Luke Cage... At length, I don't believe. I know we
not
talked
at length. We talked about it. I think
we ranked all the.
We ranked the Netflix shows.
Right.
We talked about. I know there was one episode where we talked about like underrated seasons of TV, superhero TV. I think we did, and I think we talked about Luke Cage season 1 then.
Yeah, and the first half of that show is just plays more like a stylistic Daredevil, and then the second half of that show plays like Iron Fist of season 1. So it's just funny. Maybe this doesn't have to do with it, but it's just funny that Mahershala Ali, spoilers for a show that came out years and years ago, but Mahershala Ali's character gets killed, and then the show just takes an absolute nosedive down. And then, getting back to Blade, I mean, this project just, it feels like there's a sense of easiness now, like that now it's realized that, I mean, the old adage goes that story is king, what we heard of the first draft of what that story was going to be was just, it didn't make sense. And I mean, not to bring any other project into this, but, it's the same thing I somewhat feel about Agatha Coven of Chaos is like, it's the why. Again, it's, everything I want anybody to make what they need to make. Like, there's a whole bunch of characters that get to, live and breathe, and I think that's spectacular, but at the end of the day, sometimes you do need to ask the why. And that first Blade leak of what we heard was going to be, it's why? Like, why was that the first initial plan for, like I said, this 2-time Oscar winner, one of the bigger actors in Hollywood, one of the characters that has such a cult following behind it and could lead you and propel you with Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight into the Midnight Suns era of the MCU. Like, that's not something that you play around with. So I'm just glad it's back on track. Glad Mahershala Ali's excited. And I mean, we can also transition to what Wyatt Russell said about the Thunderbolts with that. And he said that the Thunderbolts is going to feel a little bit more like, like cinema. Like, it's going to feel a little bit more like a film, which, I've been talking about for a while, which, we both, when we talked about, what the MCU needs to do, one of my big takes was they need to make these movies feel like films, because the kids that grew up with these movies, like myself, are not kids anymore, and we know more about movies now, so you can't get away with doing things like Ant-Man 3 and Thor Love and Thunder. Like, you can't get away with those things anymore.
Yeah, the quote from Wyatt Russell was, it's not a straightforward Marvel movie as you've seen in the past. It's a very different type of Marvel movie is basically what he said, which, yeah, I think that's what exactly he's alluding to, is the fact that, like, hey, this is going to be a little bit more it's going to have a little bit more in it. And, I think that's great. I think if they can, I mean, me and you both agree that Captain America: The Winter Soldier is one of the best that they've ever done. Mm-hmm. And because because it's grounded.
Yeah. And I mean, even to go further, and I always say this about, there's 2 ways to do this. Like, another way you can do this, obviously, we know what type of universe this is. Like, we know what type of things that you're trying to pull from.
He said it's time to make a good Marvel movie, is what he said.
He was talking to his dad, and he let it slip. But, I look at Guardians of the Galaxy 1 for this all the time, and then subsequently Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Human emotion, or, emotion of being also helps you a lot. Yeah. And, the human, not human, but, the intrinsic nature of the being, like, that also can help you a little bit, resonate with people. Guardians 3 does that really well. Like, stylistic choices, like, all those things help you out a little bit. So, yeah. all those things can, equate to, a piece of the pie that is film, cinema, whatever you want to call it. And, I just hope, we talked about the Fantastic Four, remember, when we thought it was going to be Adam Driver and Margot Robbie, that should be taken, obviously, like I said, what you're making, we know what this is, but you can try to do some things with it. You can try to make a little bit of the cinema in there. I don't think people are asking you to make the Batman every single time or Logan every single time, but maybe a more concerted effort. That's how you avoid situations where you get Ant-Man Quantumania, or you get Thor Love and Thunder, just those movies that just feel like they just don't care about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that movie, we don't really know what it is, but it does have the potential and the characters to be that kind of movie. I think we both agree that John Walker was a really interesting, captivating character in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So maybe you can peek between the cracks sometimes and see, you can see sometimes some things are, Werewolf by Night is a good example of that. I'm always going to argue that The Eternals has a lot of that in that movie, and I think that's where it turned some of the people off, because it was very different from what we were getting at that point. But now people are kind of coming around on it.
I've been praising The Eternals since this movie. I think that movie is kind of special in terms of the MCU. I hope that it just keeps getting a cult following. Just keep going.
We're getting a sequel. All right, let's talk some trailers. Woof.
What do you want to start with?
We can start anywhere you want.
Let's start with Furiosa, because this was a movie that I actually had very highly anticipated for myself. Obviously, Mad Max Fury Road. You want to talk about, cult classics? I feel like Mad Max Fury Road has built quite the cult classic.
It's
cult following.
Yeah, it's one of the best movies ever.
Yeah,
I'm that's not even.
I just hyperbole. I think I said this the other day. I like these epics. I like these, odysseys, these Homer-esque odysseys, not Homer Simpson, but these Homer odysseys that are just these grand tales. And that's a big beauty about film. Film can be tender and intimate, or film can be, massive and expansive and exploring, these vast universes, and I think Mad Max Fury Road mixed the two of those together quite well. Obviously, it's a little top heavy on, these big ideals and these big, set pieces, but I do think that movie has quite the heart to it as well. And we look forward to Furiosa. So this is 15 years, I believe, before is when this takes place. How are we feeling about this?
As far as the trailer goes, it's definitely, it has an interesting style behind it. It feels a little, I don't know, it just looks wacky. It looks, which Mad Max is, but this looks even more so. And I'm just I don't know. You know what I mean? And, obviously Anya Taylor-Joy is taking over the role from Charlize Theron because it's a prequel. And it's just, I don't know. It's just something about it just didn't really invoke Fury Road to me. And maybe the movie will tell a different story, but it just feels, something about it just felt off.
Something's a little off. And one thing that I know they were doing a whole bunch on Fury Road was a lot of that stuff was practical. I know, and you can even tell some of the opening shots. You can tell it's quite a bit of CGI in here. You can tell down to the ships and the cars and all those things.
Yeah.
You can tell they're a little bit more, computer generated than, they were building a lot of stuff that I know on the first set. And that's never, obviously, if you were to pick, obviously you want to make, that's always, in my opinion, gonna get you to where you need to be. Sometimes you need to make, that's Hollywood. If you want this premium Hollywood we talked about, but I'm still looking forward to it. In my opinion, story wise, I still think this might be strong. Obviously we talk about this all the time. I'm glad it's George Miller. If it was somebody else, and I probably would have been just straight in line with what you're saying, I'm going to give it a little bit of a benefit of the doubt because George Miller's still here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally valid. And, in that situation, you have to think that everything he's doing there's a choice behind it. Just not doing it for the sake of doing it. So that I'm definitely willing to concede that that could be the case.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he wouldn't have done this without reason or without wanting to. Right. So, yeah, I think there's a lot in there. Chris Hemsworth is in this, kind of playing against type a little bit, which is good for him, to kind of get out there. And yeah, we'll see. Like you said, Mad Max, Fury Road especially, but just Mad Max in general is always kind of like this grungy underground kind of like, not counterculture movie, but like it is that. It's like this just one that always seems to be like a cult classic. Like all of the Mad Max movies kind of almost fall under that category. So I feel like this is kind of going to be the same deal. I think, you know, maybe it's a movie that doesn't come out to a ton of fanfare, but 2, 3, 4 years after the fact, people end up really loving it. I feel like that's where these Mad Max movies always end up falling. Yeah,
and I mean, shout out to Fury Road for, like I said, it just built something that, you know, the originals were like these weird, somewhat goofy sci-fi movies, but like Mad Max Fury Road took itself seriously, but not too seriously. Like it was obviously it took itself seriously, but it was teetering that edge a little bit, which I really appreciated. But I mean, that performance from Charlize Theron was incredible. But in my opinion, if there's like a very short list of actors that you could have got to play the prequel, I think Anya Taylor-Joy is on that list as somebody that I would feel, and I do feel comfortable with you know, taking the helm from her.
Yeah, completely, totally agreed. Where to next?
Let's talk Fallout, because I feel like we should save the in-universe things for the end, because that's just our MO at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you take this one, because I'm gonna chime in on a filmmaking level, because that's, I guess, our understanding of each other. But man, just to give a quick thought, I don't know what it is. I fell in love with this trailer. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. I mean, they nailed the vibe. I mean, in general, Fallout. So really, really short kind of summary. It's alt history. Advancements in nuclear technology led to kind of this retro futuristic society where everything is futuristic, like tech is futuristic, but it's also the things that make up that tech are kind of like stuck in the 50s. Like that kind of mindset. Like when you think of like quote unquote the nuclear family, like that's the Fallout universe. Is like everything's kind of stuck in that like nuclear family. Like, you know, things are in black and white. They have the Vault Boy is like the kind of like spokesperson for like everything commercial in the Fallout universe. And basically what happens is America and China go to war, in like the far-flung future, but like I said, everything's still stuck in that retro future style. They go to war. America, in the meantime, was building these vaults all over the country that they were cramming people into. Nuclear holocaust occurs, quote-unquote destroys the world. People are up on the surface, surviving. People are in the vaults, and then usually the conceit behind every Fallout game is your player character grows up in one of these vaults, inciting incident, player character leaves the vault and has to save the world. Not the world, but the region that they find themselves in, whether that's in Washington, D.C., in the case of Fallout 3, whether that's like the greater Boston area in Fallout 4. And some of these vaults, which I get the vibe of in this trailer, some of these vaults, unbeknownst to the dwellers of said vaults, were used for experiments by the government, by the American government. So sometimes, in the case of Vault 101 in Fallout 3, that was a vault that was experimented on recluse culture of Vault 101. Once you go in, you can never leave. So the inhabitants of Vault 101 grow up there, die there, and the cycle goes on. And, you know, the vault dweller from Vault 101 eventually leaves the vault in pursuit of their father, played by Liam Neeson. Fallout 4's vault, they were all stuck in cryogenic freeze. That was their vault. Fallout 4, all the characters are from the day of the bombs going off, and they all go into the vault. They're all cryogenically frozen. Everyone in the vault dies, except for your player character. You find out that the cryogenic freezings were failing, so the people overseeing the vault killed everybody in the vault. So there's usually some type of horrific circumstance surrounding each of these vaults. And and that's the vibe I kind of got from the trailer, because I think you see our main character, played by Ella Purnell, is the main character. She is talking to who looks like the overseer, and he has like one eye, and he's drinking from like a mug. So I wonder if this was some kind of like mutation vault that they, you know, dealt with mutations, or, but yeah, man, I feel like it nailed the look. I'm excited to see more of the creature designs. We saw a little bit of the rad roaches, which is basically they're just radiated roaches that are just huge, like they're like dog-sized roaches. So I'm excited to see the creature designs. The world, I guess my only kind of, not complaint, but like one little nitpick is the world looked a little too clean, compared to what you'd expect outside of the vault. It's very Fallout 3 is called the Capital Wasteland. It's like a dilapidated Washington DC. So I'm curious to see how that ends up looking. But yeah, man, I was super impressed.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
this idea of retrofuturism, I think, is such an interesting concept in storytelling. I love it. I love when places are trapped in the future, but or reverse. I love when places, it takes
or in the future, but trapped in the past.
Trapped in the past. Like, I think it's such an interesting concept. I mean, even down to more modern storytelling, like, just to name it, I mean, like the movie Her, like that's a movie that's, obviously takes place in the future, but it's trapped into like, this past life almost. Like I love when movies attack that, and they understand, like, it's this, for me, it's always this theory that, like, nothing's new under the sun. So this trailer did it for me. And then some. It just, it looks, filmmaking wise, it looks polished, like it looks clean. The CGI looks solidly tight right now. And, this is going to go on to a bigger theory that maybe we'll talk about when we talk about The Boys in a second, that Amazon Prime is, for lack of a better term, they're in their prime right now. Like, they're really starting to hit the ground running. We're not going to talk about it, but the Mr. and Mrs. Smith trailer with Donald Glover as well, like it's looking very, very promising for what Amazon Prime has to offer. And I'm saying this, after that we got all 3 seasons of The Boys, we got Invincible, we had the Lord of the Rings spinoff show. Like, the studio admittedly probably has some money behind it, but the production that you're getting out of that is it's as expect. It's like what you would want. It's as you should expect right there. So it looks clean, like I said. That trailer has some pace to it as well. You can really feel like there's this uneasiness behind it that I really appreciate. Which obviously I never played the Fallout games. Were those Xbox exclusives or
no?
They weren't.
Nope. They presumably, if there ever is a Fallout 5, they would be, because Bethesda is now an Xbox owned studio. So a Fallout 5 per se would probably be an Xbox exclusive, but no, they're all well, the first 2 are PC games, Fallout 1 and 2, and then Fallout 3 was the first major console release for a Fallout game, and it went to, the first 2 were kind of like these top downy, for lack of a better word, like SimCity-esque kind of looking things, and then Fallout 3 was a first person action adventure RPG, basically. And
then obviously Fallout 4 came out in 2018.
Yeah.
2018. I remember that was like a huge release. Like, that was a big deal when that was coming out. I remember that.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. We're getting this show in April, I believe.
April 24th, yep.
Definitely, I will be there no matter what.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and we've talked about this, coming off the discussion of The Last of Us, is it feels like these TV and movie studios are really diving into video games now.
I think they understand the potential of the expansiveness. And then it's not like a comic book where, you're going to have to go out and get this thing. Obviously, for a video game, you're going to have to go out, but it's easier accessible than a comic book is right now. Like, if I wanted to go find a comic book right now, I would have to pay for it. And obviously, the video game you would. But I can probably go on YouTube and find a breakdown of a character. But if I want some niche, issue from the 80s, it's going to be difficult for me to find a breakdown versus a video game. I can go watch the entire video game being played on YouTube right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people on YouTube will put together, they'll mix cutscenes with gameplay to kind of create these video game movies. I think I watched one on, I think I watched one that was the Batman Arkham Origins. It was like 2.5 hours where they cut together the cutscenes mixed with some gameplay here and there to make it feel like a movie, which is super cool that people can do that.
I did that with Infamous a couple of weeks ago. A game that I want remastered in the worst possible way. I think that would play well on the PS5 engine if it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. But yeah, we're in this golden age of, obviously we're going to see what this God of War TV show is going to look like, produced by Amazon Prime, which, it's looking good if this is what we're getting out of a video game TV show.
We got Chad Stahelski's doing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, that one is probably my number one most anticipated as well.
Yes. So. But I 100% agree.
Yep.
That feels like it could be like a Last of Us, like, oh, this is like beyond the genre, basically. Right. Or beyond the medium, not beyond the genre.
Right. Let's get to Godzilla vs. Kong, the new Empire.
Man. Woof.
So, should we talk about Godzilla -1 for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
So, we both did not see this movie yet because we were planning on seeing this movie. But apparently Godzilla -1 is one of the best movies of the year. It's apparently the cinema that they be talking about. Which is awesome,
Yeah.
I think it's incredible that, we don't need to have this one definitive version of Godzilla. Like, we can have, Godzilla where it originated from and looks incredible.
And we have Cinema Godzilla.
We have Cinema Godzilla, and then we have this.
Then we have Fast and Furious Godzilla.
Yep. And let's talk about this trailer, because I gotta be honest, I'm a little lost. I'm a little lost. I don't know what we're doing. And we were joking before we got on here. We were like, do you think Gareth Edwards is looking at this and like how Oppenheimer was looking at the nuclear weapon? He's just like, we started a chain reaction of what franchises can turn into with Godzilla. And like, it's going to be big cash grabs instead of the cinema.
This movie looks bananas.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, Kong. Sorry.
Oh, come on, man.
But
cancel now.
Like, holy moly.
Is it Godzilla and Kong? Is it Kong Skull Island part something?
Well, here's the thing.
Is it Planet of the Apes? I don't know.
Godzilla feels like this Deus Ex Machina character.
You know who Godzilla's starting to feel like? Godzilla's starting to feel like Captain Marvel in the Avengers movies a little bit. Like this thing that you call when you need something to get done. Like
because, there was Godzilla 2014.
Which
was good.
One day we're going to talk about that movie, because that's one of the most underrated movies to me, like on my list.
Shout out Low Budget Disaster King, Gareth Edwards.
I absolutely love the take on Godzilla from that.
And then we got Kong Skull Island.
Right, which still had a little bit of that element where they understood, like, obviously it's a little bigger in scale, and it's like this, obviously 2014 Godzilla was massive in scale, but that was the point. Like, that's the whole point. Like, when Godzilla shows up, like, it's business. Like, and then
and then the post-credit scene in Skull Island is like, ooh.
Yeah, it takes place in the same universe.
It's a team up,
maybe.
And then we do Godzilla King of the Monsters, which was fun. Yeah,
that was fun. And then again, now you're starting to slip a little bit into like it's a spectrum. So,
Charles Dance is in this.
Yep, Charles Dance is. So there's a spectrum. I'm gonna theory time. So there's the art, and then there's the corporatas, right?
Yeah.
So Godzilla 2014 was like almost to the art side.
Yeah.
And then you kept slipping and slipping and slipping, and then like Kong Skull Island was like getting closer to the middle. And then King of the Monsters started to get over that other side of the middle, but still had a little bit of some fun elements in there. And then you get to the team up from what year? That was 2020.
That's 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And then it gets a lot farther on the other side, and now we're just on the.
Oh yeah, we're gone now.
We're gone. I love it. We're gone.
It's Godzilla vs Kong was just. It was just a rush. Like this, it was great. I really liked that movie.
It was fun. Some fun stuff.
I thought it was really well paced.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they segmented kind of like the showdowns, like the square offs. Like you have the battleship one, like near the beginning of the movie. Right. Then you have the next one. It's out like right outside the Hollow Earth, and then you have the last one in the city, and then Mechagodzilla shows up, and then they team up.
Right.
Kong's got a big axe.
Yep.
And then so this one, Godzilla just killed Mechagodzilla and then was like,
I'm gonna go recharge, but I'm not concerned about any of the Godzilla stuff. It's the Kong lore that's really killing me right now because I don't understand anything that's going on with this.
Yeah, because I thought the whole thing behind Kong was like he was
the last one, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was like it. Like he was the only
He was
one.
him.
He was him. He was him. Not anymore. There's a bunch more.
Yeah, there's a smaller Kong.
There's small Kong.
Smaller Kong.
Is that Planet of the Apes crossover? Just kidding.
Then there's other Bandolier Kong.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
Godzilla's pink now.
I don't know, man. I don't understand.
Godzilla's got like a Super Saiyan form, I guess. Super Saiyan Godzilla.
This is like the toughest I've ever had to break something down because I'm just like, and I don't know if this is like,
wild.
Yeah, it's wild. Like this is like, obviously I knew something like this was going to happen, but I didn't think they'd go this, like I thought they had a little bit of like saving grace, like understanding of like, we're still going to try a little bit to like ground this just the slightest bit.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you're not going to ground it, like, I don't know. Like, you gotta pick who's the monster? Who are they fighting? What are they fighting?
Well, it's that other Kong.
It's but that's not like a famous thing.
I guess not. Like I don't understand.
King of the Monsters did Ghidorah.
Right, which that's the king, literally the king of the monsters.
And then Godzilla, Kong did Mechagodzilla.
Right. And now it's
other Kong?
Other Kongs. Who's bigger than... But how big are these Kong? Like, are these... I don't understand the scale. Like, I can't pick up the scale.
No, and the scale keeps changing too.
Yeah,
because
I just have a theory that Godzilla should never have. I don't care how many Kongs that you put against Godzilla. Like he should never struggle, or Godzilla should never struggle. Like Godzilla should never have a problem. Kong's got like a mechanical arm now. Like what type of superhero movie are we diving into now?
It is a superhero. It was a superhero movie at the end of the last one though.
Right.
Like when he got like the big like supercharged axe to fight Godzilla with.
Right.
He's like Even what do you do? It was the Batman. This is the Batman Arkham City or Arkham Knight thing. Kong got the big axe, and they're like, "What are you doing, Kong?" And he was like, "Evening the odds." And then he lost.
And then he did lose. Let's talk about House of the Dragon. I'm over it.
Yeah. Speaking of big lizards.
All right, now into some real cinema.
Yeah.
Woof.
Oh man.
Lord.
Oh man, we've been waiting. Well, I've been waiting, baby.
Waiting. Any positive adjective that you can throw, I'm about to say, because this trailer just looks phenomenal.
But we're going full send. They did the thing, which is always kind of a risk in a TV show, is the first season was like, here's your world building and here's your lore and some character moments, and then we're gonna build it up. And then we get to the season finale, and it kicks off.
Yeah, it's war. It's the Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2.
We kicked off in the season finale of season 1, right? And now season 2 is we're gonna do the war. We're throwing down. Yeah, we're gonna box. It's what, like, not what everyone wanted out of Game of Thrones, but like, you ever watch, like, I don't know how far you got into Game of Thrones, but like every Game of Thrones season, like, there's always like a big battle, but like the perspective of said big battle, except for Battle of the Bastards and the one where they fight at the wall, is like, and then obviously the final season when they do the battle in Winterfell, but most of the battles in Game of Thrones would be like charging, and then like the point of view character would somehow, it usually ends up being Tyrion, they like black out and then they wake up and they're like, what happened? And they're like, the battle's over. Yeah, we gotta save this budget.
I remember that from the season one where it's, or season two, season 1, where it's just like Tyrion just wakes up.
That happens to him twice. That happens.
We gotta save these budgets. I can't even blame them.
But in this,
man, they just said we're doing the war, and they have the conceit that they need to CGI these dragons in, and they look they look incredible. They look so good.
We got another swooping shot of Vagar swooping overhead.
When I tell you that I hope Rhaenyra gets, man, she's out for vengeance for Luke. So once upon a time, I had waited till the show was all out to watch it.
Right.
And it was there's a famous Sunday between me and Rob where I binge watched the entirety of this show. I woke up because I knew this was going to be mentally a lot, because to digest all that in one day. So it was late in the day. I finally got to the season finale, and spoiler alert for season 1, but when Luke was killed, I was beside myself. So, that energy going into, Rhaenyra's mind, and, her unleashing that, we're going to see not the lines being blurred, but that is Game of Thrones. There's no good people. Like, there's no intrinsic good people in this world.
I mean, this is a Targaryen civil war.
Yep.
There are two sides of this conflict, and both sides kind of have legitimacy to their claim. And, you know, the tragedy behind it all is it's always the thing that Viserys was trying not to have happen.
Right.
But because of political machinations and such, they weaponized his last wishes against the family.
Right.
And that's
you
where we're at.
go against the family.
And, you know, both sides are going to and have done abhorrent things to one another. That's just where it's going to go.
Yep.
And ultimately we know where it does go because of, you know, where we end up with in Game of Thrones, which is, you know, Daenerys' father is the last of the Targaryens. The dragons are long gone by that point in Game of Thrones, where hers hatch finally, and they have the first dragon seen in Westeros in decades, centuries. So we know where this is going. So it's just a matter of how we get there.
Yeah. I mean, this show
George R. R. Martin said he's seen the first 2 episodes, and he loved them, and that they're very emotionally distressing.
Dark.
That's what he said.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, cinema, movie, film, all those things wise, this show and I said it from season 1 that show just looks phenomenal. Like, it looks so polished, it looks clean, but it looks lived in, it looks like it belongs, like all those things on top of it. It's really a marvel to look at the end of the day. It's just nope, not like that. Not that marvel. Not you, father. Is Venom 2 bad?
Nope.
Yeah, it is.
Come on, man.
They made that movie for the post-credit scene. And I watched Black Adam yesterday. They made that movie for the post-credit scene. I didn't realize how bad Black Adam was until I watched it yesterday. But also, I don't know why I was enjoying that movie as much as I was. It wasn't adding up.
No expectations.
Yeah. Now I went into it understanding, and then I was like, I was glued to this movie that I knew was bad. Like, I knew this movie was it was much worse than when we saw it in theaters. Like, it was much worse. And I was just like, this is not a lot of good. Justice Society stuff is real good. I really enjoyed all the Justice Society. You know what they should have done? Made a Justice Society movie. Yeah. And had Black Adam be the villain.
Yeah, but The Rock can't be a bad guy. So.
Yeah, he said in the movie that he's not a good guy. But then he gets his cake.
But he didn't say he was a bad guy either.
Yeah. There's no good guys or bad guys, except for Hawkman. You know what was the best bit in that movie? You're gonna think it's the me and you bit, which is really good. But it's the bit that whenever Hawkman and Black Adam see each other, it's just on sight. Like, they're just gonna throw hands just because they hate each other.
Like Godzilla and Kong.
Oh, yeah. But then they're mates at the end.
Yeah.
Then they're pals. So.
Man, that was on sight.
That was on, yeah. But House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon's also on
How did we get
site.
from House of the Dragon to Black Adam? My bad.
From cinema to cinema.
Yeah. Nope.
No, this show looks phenomenal. All your favorites are back. Emma Darcy's back.
Yep.
Matt Smith is back.
Matt Smith's back. You know, our favorite's not back. What are you talking about?
Yeah, true. Man. Just immortalized.
I'm telling you, this is exactly what. Can you find me I'm gonna pull a Theo Von real quick. Rob, can you find me the name of the actor that got his head chopped off? So
I was gonna say his name was Will Smith, but that can't be right.
That's racist, I think.
It's Will something. Hang on, Will.
If it's not Smith, then we're canceling you immediately.
That feels unfair.
I think it's very fair.
Corliss Velaryon brother. There we go. Bayman Velaryon. Will Johnson.
Okay, that was to get Will Smith out of Will Johnson is crazy. But so here's my theory, right? So Will Johnson they were doing their table read for episode 8, right?
Yeah.
And he looks and he's like, "Ooh, I'm the main character for this scene, aren't I?" And actors act for years and years. He looks familiar though. I think he's definitely been in some things. I don't know why he looks somewhat. I could be wrong, but so this is what I think, right? So I think he was on set. He was like, well, I'm the main character today for this one scene, this pivotal scene, right?
Well, he started as, I'm the main character of the scene, and then he went, wait, am I the main character of this entire show?
Exactly. Like, in the NBA, like, when, a bench player goes off for, 40, that's exactly...
This was his Linsanity.
This was his Linsanity. You remember when Corey Brewer had that 50-point game?
Yeah.
This is exactly what this is. Like, this vet of acting was just there and just like, wow, like this, I get to do this today. So, scene ensued. We already talked about this scene and the glorious nature of this, but man, he just every bit of like stage acting and like acting school and everything, he's all culminated in that very day. It was so good, man. It was this little smirk he gave too before he said it, because he knew it was gonna. He knew
It's that turning point, man.
that
It's no true Valarian. Oh, shit.
But also, Eamon's the greatest. I have a theory that Eamon is my favorite character because he's all about business. He does not mess around with anything else. He doesn't care. He doesn't care to do anything else.
Except that time he accidentally started a civil war.
He meant business. You listen to me, Vagar. But yeah,
It didn't.
yeah,
She didn't listen.
She didn't listen to him. Unfortunately, now Luke was dead. Ah, man, I wanted to cry. Like I wanted to not do anything.
So crazy. And yeah,
It was that turn to camera to end the season look from Rhaenyra. I was like, oh yeah, season 2 is about to go insane.
yeah.
Let's talk about the boys.
Let's talk about let's talk about the boys.
I love how the boys structures their trailers because it's just anarchy. That's the best way I can ever describe like a boys trailer is just unhinged. Like just
clips.
there's no rhyme and reason. It's just throw clips and just have it get progressively crazier and crazier. Like that's all we're doing.
Yeah.
But this season looks like it's gonna be a political thriller, for lack of a better term, somewhat, especially with the Newman thing. Obviously, for those who know who Victoria Newman is, obviously, it's a gender bent character, but, what her character is in the comics, like, we know where this is leading, so, and also, watch Gen V. Make sure you watch Gen V. Hey, that show was just great.
It's really good. I was floored with that.
That might be the surprise of when we do our world famous Project Infinite awards.
Yeah.
That might be my most underrated project of the year. Might be Gen V. I was just not expecting that to come out of that. But
no, it was really, like I said. We kind of touched upon it briefly last week when I said like I was shocked at the character depth in that show, like across like the board of like the main cast of characters. Like I found myself like sinking into them more than I even did like the main boys cast, aside from like Starlight, or like Butcher,
right?
Would be like I would say like the characters I'm like most attached to in the boys, and then in this I found myself caring about like all of them.
Yeah. Everybody had rhyme or reason to stay and to be cared about, and does it help? Maybe it helps that they were in college, like this formative age. Like, also we need to form, opinions about them as well too. Like, I really appreciated that. And it's a perfect example of you're getting this project that was never made before. This is not a thing. Like, this is just something they made, to round out the universe. And boy, did it round out the universe, because I'm telling you, like, this show is very important. So it takes that, but they said, all right, we just need to make a good show. That's the number one priority we have. We just need to make a good show. So yeah, getting back to the actual Boys season 4, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I feel like this is finally going to be. Is Anthony Starr finally going to get his Emmy? Like, this is my question: is if he's finally gonna.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I guess it really depends. Yeah, it really depends on. Are they gonna finally do the thing where they basically make Homelander the point of view character?
Right. Oh man, like they did in 13 Reasons Why season 3.
Oh my god.
I'll never forgive that show for
what an insane attempt to try and do that show. Oh man. But yeah, it all depends, because like he's in that show a lot less than you think he is.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's the point. It's like, that's how intimidating of a villain. He's probably one of the best villains we've ever seen on live action.
Yeah, I mean, anytime he shows up on screen, like, you feel tense. Because you don't know what he's going to do.
Exactly. You don't know what's about to happen, and it's the whole horror thing. It's not the bang, it's the anticipation of the bang. Like, I don't know which Homelander I'm ever going to get. And obviously, now it's going to get worse and worse and worse. I can't wait for the people to call this season political. I don't know what show you've been watching for 3 seasons, but
Yeah. Black Noir's back?
Who could that be?
Who is it? Who's the man behind the mask?
We can't say because then it's going to spoil it. If it's right.
It might.
If it's right. I have a different theory of who it could be.
So do I.
Who you think?
I think it's Sam.
That's good.
From Gen V.
Yep, that's good stuff. I like that a lot. Same power set too. I like that. Also, I have a feeling it could be Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy too.
Ooh, that would also be good.
Because then it's also how did they get him in there? Unless
because Mallory has him.
All right, we're spoiling the big twist at the end of the Boys comic run. So 3, 2, 1. There's your chance to run away. So you find out that Black Noir in the Boys comic universe is a clone of Homelander. And obviously the end of Boys season 3 was they got back, because Homelander was obviously made from Soldier Boy. So
yeah.
And now Soldier Boy's in custody of the quote unquote good guys. But I just think that this was a whole ploy to make sure that they can keep eyes on Homelander. But I really, really like the idea of it being Sam. I think that actually makes a lot of sense. It's somebody that was not easily manipulated, but kind of in Gen V was sort of manipulated into a way. And where did Gen V leave off? Having him be the hero of that whole thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an easier way to keep him muzzled too, and not actually talk about what happened. And talk about the traumas that he had. I think and he's also a mirror of Homelander in a way too. So
yeah,
he's a college Homelander.
And there's a lot of that Homelander twist in the comics that they really kind of the ship has kind of sailed on.
Sure,
for some of that twist,
you can get there, but it can't be this season.
Because as far as the revelation, again, spoilers for the comics. I mean, they're not great, but spoilers for the comics in the sense that it turns out it was the clone that did all those horrible things to Butcher.
Right.
I think we're well past that.
Yeah.
We're past that point. Homelander, this Homelander clearly did all that stuff and clearly revels in it. So I think they might not even do it. This show has been kind of all about subverting the comics in a lot of ways. So I feel that's probably not even what's going to end up happening.
Yeah. I feel like
I do think the Noir thing is going to be a twist of some sort.
Yeah, because obviously now we know that Noir is alive and well, so who is that?
Yeah, so I think that could definitely be a point of intrigue across the season. And I think they're going to I think they're kind of I talked about The Last of Us earlier, but I think I think Eric Kripke is really good at, especially, I said, the Boys comics are not great.
No, they're indulgent of themselves.
Yeah.
They have
so I think
right.
If, at the first chance he gets at subverting a thing from the comics, I feel like he does it. I mean, Soldier Boy's a perfect example. Yeah. I mean, you look at Soldier Boy in the comics, he's a wuss, essentially.
Right.
He's a parody of Captain America in a different way.
Right.
Whereas Soldier Boy in the show is a parody of Captain America in a really different way from the comics.
He's the alpha male of alpha male from the 40s. Just survived this whole time.
Yeah. So I think the Noir thing is going to be in a similar vein where it's going to be a twist of sorts. And we just don't know what that is. And it may not even, because again, spoiler alert for the comics, that clone kills Homelander. Right,
that's the whole point. It's not great because there's still another Homelander out there.
So I do feel like it would be, it's the thing has to be, but if Homelander's going to meet his end, it's not going to be at the hands of another Homelander.
No, at this point, no. If you would have told me that in season 2, sure. Maybe even the beginning of season 3, sure, but not now. I think that genie's out of the bottle at this point.
Yeah. What else we got in this shit? We got a good look at Firecracker.
Yep. Firecracker, and I know there was another character.
Sister Sage. Yeah,
Sisters, and she's narrating the beginning of the trailer too. So
yeah.
And again, Gen V has been super important to what this season's going to unfold into, because now what I think possibly could happen is, the whole conceit. I guess we are just going to spoil Gen V at this point, but a big plot point was Marie becoming the first black woman in the Seven, and obviously that's not a thing anymore because now she's not going to be. I wonder how this is going to play, because you got to think that Gen V is just going to be all of them are going to be in this season. That's because what this season is, big spoilers, but this season is going to be, it's essentially going to be Joss Whedon's run on X-Men where they came up with the cure, but now it's going to be like an illness. Like they're going to try to take out, and Victoria Newman's going to try to take out every single soup on the planet at this point. So how this is going to go, if this is going to kill Homelander, maybe it can't kill Homelander. Like all these things we're going to have to see, but this is going to be a heavy lift. My biggest burning question that I have from this is where's Huey? Huey was he not in this?
I don't think he was in the trailer at all.
Yeah, that's...
No, I think there's a shot of him and Starlight walking out of somewhere.
Yeah, but that was the only shot of him in the entire trailer, and he was our...
That was a great catch. I didn't even notice.
That was our point of view character for 3C. Like, he is the one that we're supposed to follow through all this craziness, because he's, this human that's just supposed to live amongst these world of these beings, these powerful beings. So, where's Huey?
I don't know. That was a great call, though, because I didn't even notice until he said this. Was Huey in this? And I'm like, was he? So yeah, that's a great point. And then I mean, we also know that Butcher's clock is ticking because of all the artificial Gen V he was taking last season. Right. So there's an element of kind of urgency there. If he's indeed going to be the one to kill Homelander, he kind of has to do it at this point.
Yep. And we also get a new character through Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
I mean, anytime you get Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a project, it's good stuff. So.
He's one actor away from completing the Supernatural Trinity.
I know. Who would you have? What's his name?
Jared Padalecki.
Who would you have him play at this point?
In The Boys?
Gotta just make something up at this point, but...
Well, yeah, you'd have to. But I don't know if... Do you make him... Like, do you make him a soup, or do you make him like a government guy?
No, I feel like a soup. He plays better as a soup.
Okay.
You know who he would have been good as? He would have been a good deep. I feel like he would have been good as the deep.
I mean, you can make a play on his stint in the Walker Texas Ranger show and make him like a soup gunslinger.
Oh, like a soup Jonah Hex?
Yeah.
That would be fun.
They don't really have one of those.
No, they don't. I can't think of one.
Like kind of like a old Western kind of like gunslinger type.
That would be fun. That would be
like
funny.
Kind of like Deadshot.
You know how they would play it? He's just a movie star. That's how you would play it. Because he's not an actual gunslinger from the Old West. Yeah. He's just on movie sets as the gunslinger.
He's like Johnny Cage.
He's like almost like Bullseye. Like he doesn't miss. Like that's his whole thing. He doesn't miss.
Yeah, he's like he'd be like a boys, because they don't really have a boys version of like Deadshot.
Or Eric Kripke, give us a call.
Yeah, they don't have like a boys version of like Deadshot or like Deathstroke or anything like that. Unless that's what Firecracker ends up being, because she does use guns.
I just think she's going to be a cross between Maeve and Homelander. Like, she's like, because both of them have red in their ledger, for lack of a better term. So, I feel like she's going to be the fresh slate version of Maeve at this point.
Yeah. it's the guns thing that makes me think, like, maybe, or she's just going to be like the Punisher. But
Punisher repackaged.
Corporatized,
the Punisher repackaged as Captain America.
Yeah, what if the Punisher, but he, like, sold out to the government? More or less. Right. That's kind of the vibe I get, just based on her outfit. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And then...
There's one more thing we got to talk about. The trailer that broke the internet.
Yeah.
The long-awaited trailer. And there's something you say in the beginning. It's the games that we talked about.
Yeah.
So there was a trailer for a game that just came out.
Yeah.
Stray Part 2.
I wish. But man, it happened. We finally got it. GTA 6.
It's like one of those things where like...
Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013.
Yep, same year as The Last of Us Part 1.
That is crazy.
Insane. And now we have a Last of Us TV show, Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 2 again.
Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 1 again.
Yep. And guess what we've gotten from GTA?
Nothing.
Online. Fill the online up with stuff. I'm in.
Oh, these guys at Rockstar are just... They're
the best.
They're the best. They really are. They just, you can say what they want about, how long it takes to develop these things, but my old adage, especially when it comes to games, is, look, man, take as long as you want, but if you're going to give us a product that looks like this, fine. Like, if you're going to take 12 years to do another one, sure. I I mean, this looks...
We might be playing this game for 15 years.
It looks outstanding. Like, it looks... The scope is just... looks unbelievable.
It's twice the size of the GTA 5 map, and the GTA 5 map is huge.
Like, the amount of things that they pack into these GTA games...
Just in the story. We're just talking, like...
Yeah. And not even talking about, like, your NPCs, your random encounters... Your
Which
side
I just
missions.
think are gonna be,
they're the best.
They're gonna be just nuts.
Nobody does it like them. When it comes to like the depth and scale and just, I mean, I just remember in Red Dead 2, just you walk through. What is that town? Valentine.
Yep. Don't make me play Red Dead 2 because
I thought about it. I was looking real hard, but I was like, I got other stuff. And you're just walking through Valentine. All of a sudden, I just see like two guys just plow through the window of the bar.
The saloon.
And they're just fighting, and I'm just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
or like I'm just riding my horse, and then just like a person's on the side of the road, just like, I need you to help me find this thing, and then they try to kill me, but I'm too fast.
You can run across the clan.
Yep.
Just murder the clan.
Yeah, immediate murder.
Immediately murder the clan.
No second thought. Immediate murder.
Like the amount of stuff, and like you think about it, like that's impressive, but then you realize like, oh no, like a person had to like sit down, or a team of people had to sit down and like program all that.
Right.
To like do that.
Yep.
At like random points.
Right.
Is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. And this is that, but like magnified.
Right. Yep. And I mean, our point of view character, Lucia, I mean, I feel like she's going to become iconic at some point when this game comes out.
Yep.
The city just looks
Vice City,
awesome. We're back in Vice City, but we're back in Florida. What are they going to call the state?
Yeah, true. I don't know.
I guess it doesn't matter, but it just, like, I just love the whole idea of, like, it's Vice City, but also Florida is a crazy place. So we're gonna do the entirety of Florida. We didn't even talk about the Trevor GTA 5 influence of doing the whole state.
Well, it's brilliant in the sense that like, so the first time you see Vice City, obviously in GTA Vice City, and it's Miami, obviously Miami Vice inspired, very 80s, again retro futurism kind of vibe, and then like as the perception of the state of Florida evolved, so has Vice City evolved. You know what I mean? To the point where like Florida is just this hive, to quote Star Wars, a hive of scum and villainy. And which is really ripe for a GTA game.
Because like they played it well for California and GTA
and Liberty
GTA
City
5.
as well, yeah.
Right. And now this is the best realized version of that you could probably ask for and then some. So.
Yeah, because it's insane. And it's like insane, but like still believable. Because you're like, yeah, of course.
I can't wait for the parodies of, especially in like post 2020, the parody. I cannot wait for the things that they put into this game.
Yeah, the guy fighting the alligator.
Like, and you saw the thing where like all the people you see are like actual people from like the news and stuff, like from actual Florida. Like that's great.
Yeah, and I mean, just their writing is always super sharp. In terms of like their satire, is always brilliant. Especially in the GTA games. The Red Dead is less so on the parody satire stuff. There's elements of it, but the GTA stuff is really...
That's the point. Like, that's the point for GTA.
It's a video game version of South Park in terms of like the satire.
Right.
You go back to the whatever the Facebook analog was in GTA 5 with,
Oh, yeah.
with the Mark Zuckerberg-esque character.
Yep. It just gets killed.
He gets his head blown off. Yeah, it's...
Like I said, especially like the last 5 years, last 12 years, but specifically the last 5 years of our, like, I cannot wait for what they try to do with all that stuff.
Everything's on the table. Like, there's going to be probably like a COVID thing.
Oh my, and now it's probably after that in this, I can't wait to what they try to do.
It's going to be, like I said, their writing over there with Rockstar is just on a different level. Their creativity is on a different level. Like and this game graphically, like I didn't even talk about the technical stuff. This is the type of game that you make a next gen system for, more or less.
300 gigs?
Easily.
500?
Easily.
You're going to need 2 consoles just to download this game.
Oh, easily. Yeah, this is easily going to be... Unless they found a way to compress it, which...
I doubt.
Nobody's figured it out yet. No one's figured out how to do it with any of these next-gen games.
This might be the only game you can have on your system when you're trying to play it. Like, it's going to be insane. But, like, you know, we didn't even talk about online, which... GTA...
Oh, that's the moneymaker for them, yeah.
GTA 5 Online has been surviving since 2013. Yeah. It's going to survive for 12 years until this game comes out. And it still is cycling new stuff. Yeah. Like, it just is normal. Like, imagine what this
They made more money on GTA Online than actual sales of GTA 5, which was already astronomical.
Yeah, one of the biggest games that had ever been released. So... I played GTA 5 way too young. Then I probably would. We all played
GTA. Mine was Grand Theft Auto 3. It was the first GTA game I ever played. I think I was like 13, 12 or 13.
If it was I think I was 14 when I was playing GTA 5. So it was just like, Lord, like I probably, and that's crazy. Like now I'm not 14 anymore, and I'm
GTA 3 came out in 2001, so I was like 10 or 11.
Should we have been playing these games?
No.
Did it form us into the people that we are?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that was back before I had any concept of story or anything like that. I just run around and just be the worst person. For lack of a better phrase. Like
you don't play GTA to drive around the map. Like no.
There's too much to do. Too much going on there.
You're gonna be able to like work a 9 to 5 in this game, I bet you. Like,
I can't imagine like the stuff they pack into GTA 5 is insane. Like,
that was 2013.
You ever just be on the phone in GTA 5 and just like scrolling the internet, like all the different websites and like stuff to do, like in the websites and like places to go.
The customization in this game might just break the internet. Like it's just gonna.
Yeah, it's like what they're, and I mean it's a testament to how grandiose the game is that they put this trailer out and the game's not even coming out next year.
Right. They know.
Of course.
The first gameplay hits for this...
Oh, people are going to lose their mind.
It's going to just... Oh, man.
And it's not even going to be anything vastly different. Like, that formula's never changed. No. Across GTA or Red Dead, you get third person, behind the shot, you got your weapon wheel. It's going to be that.
Right.
But
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can't... I mean, it's already... You've, like, cut the check. Sign it. Game of the year 2025 is going to be GTA 6.
Right. Unless Stray 2 comes out.
Because, I mean, how do you beat it? You can't.
There's nothing. I don't know what can. And, what we said with that, too, is Marvel's Wolverine probably, this is great across the board, because that game's probably going to have to take the October slot in 2024. Because I don't see a universe where that Wolverine game comes out in the same year of GTA 5. It's going to get demolished. Like,
you can get away with it maybe if you do it like one beginning of the year, one end of the year.
Right, but I just think GTA is probably going to take either the March slot or the summer slot of 2025.
March slot's probably a good slot. Right. That's probably the best place for it.
I wouldn't try because, again, if you put Wolverine in what I think is going to be the new Spider-Man slot, like the October slot, you might be able to just do that for any of those Marvel games that you're going to continue to do. Just take the October slot every year, and then other games are probably going to try not to infringe on you during that time.
And that hinges, and everything hinges upon, kind of segueing to what we're going to talk about next week, which is we're going to recap the Game Awards. Tonight's a big night.
It's evolved, man.
We're kind of going to get a feeler for what next year is going to look like tonight. Tonight's the night. Like I said, tonight is the night. Like I said last week, like Summer Games Fest is getting to be a bigger deal. Jeff Keighley's doing his best to kind of be like a dual kind of like both my things are huge. Right. But the Game Awards truly is like the big thing. That's like it's the Oscars of gaming at this point. Like the Game Awards has been around. This will be the 10th or 11th year of the Game Awards at this point for Jeff, and like the exponential growth in the popularity of just the Game Awards over the last 10 years is astounding, quite frankly.
I didn't know about it until the 2018 Game Awards. Like this was the thing. Like, because it went 2018 was like a biblical year. It was like, what was it? Red Dead.
That was Red
Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, that was Red Dead. That was the Red Dead God of War year.
God of War. Like that year of gaming alone was like insane.
And ever since then, I mean, credits. You know, people like to kind of bag on Jeff for kind of his leaning into like the celebrity of it all and like the but like so he's made gaming like cool through the Game Awards.
What, like all these studios in the
Timothy Chalamet is presenting tonight.
All these game studios in the next 5 years are game studios. All these movie and TV show studios are gonna take games and be like, oh, this is the coolest thing on the planet. Like, well, I mean, it's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, CD Projekt Red just did it with Cyberpunk. They built that game around Keanu Reeves, and then Phantom Liberty just came out with, and Idris Elba is the main character. Idris Elba is up for a Game Award for Best Performance.
Right, and what's going to start to happen, and I mean, you talked about this before, I bet you that actors are going to start going over to games because then they don't have to worry. They can do whatever they want in these games. Like, they can really get down to the nitty-gritty of what acting is.
Two of the actors in Performance of the Year for the Game Awards are Idris Elba and Cameron Monaghan.
Right, yep.
That's crazy.
It is nuts. It's insane. So, and obviously we'll talk about everything. We'll break everything down. Who was nominated for the best performances of the year? I'm very curious to hear about this.
So, best performance, Game Awards. I know, obviously I said, all right, so Game Awards. Can I please get some nominees, please? Oh, no, server error. Jeff, what are you doing with your website? Damn it, man. All right, so we got Idris Elba from Cyberpunk 2020. Cyberpunk 2077, which shout out to them, by the way. I don't want to just real quick on Cyberpunk. That game was dead when it came out.
Understatement.
That game was, people were getting refunds for that game. Then they dropped Phantom Liberty and man, just fixed it. They just fixed it. So we have Idris Elba as Solomon Reed, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Melanie LeBird from Alan Wake 2. She's the other point of view character in Alan Wake 2.
I heard some good things about her as well.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2's up for Game of the Year, one of the Game of the Year nominees. Yuri Lowenthal, obviously, Spider-Man 2.
Why don't you pop some more pills and tell me what you really feel? Give him the award. Give it to him.
Cameron Monaghan for Cal Kestis. Neil Newbon as Astarion for Baldur's Gate 3, which Baldur's Gate 3 is just going to clean up this year. That's basically, except probably in this category, is probably where the only place Baldur's Gate 3 is. And then Ben Starr as Clive Rossfield in Final Fantasy 16, who I'm pretty sure is going to win. Because a lot of people, you can say what you want about Final Fantasy 16, but the one thing that's undeniable is, one, the music, and two, Ben Starr.
They do have a music award, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's the best score in music, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
So I would expect Final Fantasy 16 to probably win best score in music, and I would expect Ben Starr to win best performance.
You think that the only other person in that category that I think could give him any contest was probably Yuri Lowenthal?
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
See, and that's my, and obviously you're more in depth on this than me. My only thing that I keep thinking about for this is how much of the popularity of gaming is going to influence picks in this, because that's what happened in the Oscars. And I remember 2018 was the actual year that this started to happen, where I felt the popularity of the situation start to outweigh the actual winners of some things.
It's happened. I wouldn't say it has. It's definitely happened at the Game Awards. I forget what year it comes to mind with that. Maybe it was not 2020. Might have been 2019 when maybe it was 2019. Let me look at these. No, Sekiro won in 2019. That was pretty. It's usually, honestly, it was probably Breath of the Wild. When Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year, people were like, okay, like that's why a lot of people were thinking like, this year, like, Baldur's Gate 3 feels like it's gonna win, but also there's a Zelda game in this. Like, Tears of the Kingdom is also nominated for Game of the Year, so people were like, is it just gonna be Tears of the Kingdom because it's Zelda? Whereas, like, have not finished Baldur's Gate 3, but from all accounts, it's, like, the most mind-bending RPG made in the last, like, 5 or 10 years. So I don't know. We'll see. Man, Guardians of the Galaxy won Best Narrative last year.
I love it times infinity.
Or 2021, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, 2021. Wow. Why do I not remember that happening?
you were too enthralled with the game. There's just your mind wasn't working right. What a game! We were just talking about this game 2 days ago. And how incredible that game is!
Wow, that game really won Best Narrative. Good. And that's genuinely surprised me. I genuinely don't remember that.
They do. So they do have a Best Narrative. What do we got for this year?
For 2023 narrative. Let's see. Bing.
I didn't think we were going to launch down those talking about the Game Awards.
Well,
in depth.
it helps that it's like an hour. Best Narrative: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Phantom Liberty. Wow, Phantom Liberty got nominated as an expansion, which is nuts.
Yeah, that is insane.
Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2. That feels. Ooh, Alan Wake 2 could win that.
I'm thinking the same thing too.
Alan Wake 2 probably wins that. To be honest,
yeah.
I think Baldur's Gate 3 ultimately wins Game of the Year, but I think Alan Wake 2 will probably win Best Narrative.
I have a feeling that something's going to happen with that Game of the Year. I just have a sneaking suspicion something's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
Jeff's going to get bum rushed again like he did last year.
Oh, no, not the kid.
The kid's coming. He's
coming
back.
Maybe have him be maybe get ahead of the narrative and have him be the presenter.
Man. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's funny, like, and this is how I know the Game Awards is about, and I don't want to keep bagging on about the Game Awards, but I know it's evolved because now it felt like, well, back, the last couple of years, it felt like people were just tuning in for the reveals and like the world premieres, but now I feel like people are tuning in to like see who wins the things, and like I feel like that's a drastic shift from where we were, even 5 years ago with the Game Awards, where like people just like show me the world premieres, but now it's more like, no, we actually want to see what wins,
right? Which
I think is really awesome. I think we're in a great place. That's it. Wrap this sucker up. So yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week. We had some insane week for trailers. Can't wait. A lot of that stuff looks really, really good. House of the Dragon. I guess we can end on that. Like, out of all the things that we talked about, what is your most kind of that you're looking forward to?
I mean, on paper, it's House of the Dragon, but I'm just so interested in that world of Fallout at this point. It's just that trailer hit like a ton of bricks. Like I said, it came out of like nowhere. It just was super exciting, and I want to see. I think I'm more excited to see what Amazon Prime has ahead of them that's not The Boys or Invincible. That's probably what I'm more excited for.
That's a good call.
I want to see if they can start to really put their name in the hat of like this studio that can contend with Netflix, and because as of right now, HBO or it's like that is the top dog in my opinion. Netflix narratively is being held by Stranger Things at this point, and that show's coming to an end. So, and now there's this stigma behind Netflix where it's like, oh, this, it's the same thing that movie had, like, oh, the Netflix productions look bad, like they're kind of weird and dumb. Like, HBO is like the king. They own a day of the week for releases, like Sunday night. If you release on Sunday night, you're like, it's HBO time. I don't know, like, I don't know if Prime's going to get there, but obviously The Boys is helping them a lot. So I just want to see what they're going to look like. Like, I want to see what... Obviously, we're going to get God of War on top of that. And, no, Chad Stahelski, that's not...
It's a movie, yeah. That's going to be a movie.
But I don't think it's Prime Studios, right? No. It's not. But, yeah, it's Sony, obviously. But, like I said, we're getting God of War out of them. We're getting this. Mr. and Mrs. Smith looks good. And then I can go down the catalog of the stuff they actually have. Reacher is something that's super popular that they have running. Like, they have stuff already. Say what you will about Rings of Power, but that show still looks really good. So, I'm in love with their production value. I'm in love with what they're doing over there. So, and you can tell they're very creator focused. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, House of the Dragon for me is just, it just looks like it's going to be just really special. And they're going to do something with this season that they've never done, in Game of Thrones, which is really focus a whole season around, which was my whole why I liked House of the Dragon in the first place. Is yes, it was still a pretty large cast of characters, but it was really centralized around this one family. And I think that really helped it. And I think this is going to be more of that where now we have this one family is now splintered into two factions, and how they kind of maneuver around each other and against each other, I think is really interesting. Whereas in like Game of Thrones, it was, 5 or 6 different families at any given time kind of warring with each other. And here we have these definitive two factions, these really interesting characters on the opposite ends of it. And, how they kind of bring the entire country to their knees in the midst of their civil war, which is insane. When you think about it, is you're going to get all these other families looped into the civil war that truly has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. And I mean, also the world building for the actual Game of Thrones, like, just go, like, Luke, go get me the Baratheons and the Undersea, like, all those things. I think they do it, but they do it with class. I think is something. It's not
we know one of the through lines of the season is Jacaerys going to the Starks.
Yep.
And, I like that they're building up House Stark as like the trump card, because like they're so well insulated in the North, where like they even said in Game of Thrones, like I think even Cersei is wise enough to not send an army up to the North because it's this impregnable fortress. Right. So that's going to be an interesting thing. Like if Jacaerys gets the Starks to their side, that potentially turns the tides of a war, because everyone kind of knows that House Stark and the North is a different breed. Right. Because it's House Stark, and then it's all the families in the North under the banner of House Stark. Like, the North is unique in that regard, where, like, there truly is a king in the North. Like, it's House Stark, and then all these families fall under that banner. So that's gonna be interesting to see.
I wonder if House Atreides is up there.
So yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to like just this focus on this centralized conflict. Is super interesting to me, because it's something they've never done with Game of Thrones before. And
I mean, just for that to end it, it's that, but then it's also like it's the character work on top of that. It's just the emotional stake in this and how personal it feels. I just think is really unmistakable, and it's really just it's something to revel in. Like how incredible they understand, and how tight knit they understand all these relationships between these people. Yes. And I mean, just the versus matchup of the century is just Alicent versus Rhaenyra, because best friends turn mortal enemies. Like it's something so simple. But it's something that can really hold the heaviest punch. Yeah.
Can't wait. Really can't wait. But that's going to do it for us this week. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod.
And next week, we're going to talk, obviously, Game Awards Fallout, for lack of a better word, and maybe another thing.
Maybe the Hunger Games.
Maybe the Hunger Games.
Maybe not. Oh,
we might do Godzilla.
Oh yeah, we could do Godzilla -1. I know what was the thing from before we were supposed to talk about but never did. Was it Dungeons and Dragons? No, it wasn't. It was something else.
I don't remember.
We're gonna have to find it.
The before times.
It was something that was just evading us for the longest time, and we said we would talk about it, and we just never
circled back.
Like a year. We just would never talk about it.
But yeah, maybe we'll do Game Awards and talk a little Godzilla.
Yeah,
if we venture out to see it.
I'm back. This is like
Blizzard Cinema.
Yeah, Blizzard Cinema. House of the Dragon, Godzilla. You know how like Mariah Carey defrosts in December? This is when I defrost for like me being a pretentious film kid, because now it's that time of year where all the Oscar bait is gonna hit.
Can a lizard win Best Actor?
See, and let's talk about it for a second, because I think you can.
Can you make a lizard Best Actor?
I think you can.
Ooh, man. Imagine Godzilla.
I'm really looking forward. I'm trying to pull off a double feature of May, December, and The Holdovers. So two movies that have been getting a lot of praise.
The Holdovers.
Yeah,
that's right.
I've heard a lot of great stuff from Paul Giamatti in that movie. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then you heard this whole theory about like Riverdale's been a pipeline for getting some top tier actors, because you know, and it was awesome to see. On a serious note, Charles Melton was he won the award for Best Supporting Actor, and you know, it brought him to tears. That, you know, obviously, you know, he's a good-looking guy. He's on, you know, this network television show that's not taken seriously, and now, you know, he at this point in the award season is giving very high contention for possibly winning Best Supporting Actor. The only people that I can think are it's either Robert Downey Jr. or Robert De Niro, and then Charles. And, you know, and again, it's not the fact that if he's gonna win or not. It's just the idea of like this younger person to them is gonna be in the same category with Robert De Niro and Robert Downey Jr. Like, that's amazing. So I'm, you know, that's awesome. Like, this is, you know, another piece of why I love movies. It's like things like this of like, they're so expansive. It doesn't need to be these titans of industry. Like, it's just, you know, this guy that was just on some TV shows and in some movies, just like, you know, he finally got the chance to give like this performance of his career up to this point. He was
on the best TV show.
One day we'll talk about Riverdale and
I'm dying to.
And just the absurdities of that universe.
I'm dying. How we got? If you showed me season 1,
and then the last
season, Whiplash, and not the good Whiplash with
like
with J.K. Simmons.
Oh,
the bad Whiplash.
That is the bad Whiplash. Yeah, the good Whiplash is Iron Man 2 Whiplash.
I want my
bird. Yeah, I get you bird. I get you 10 birds. I want my bird. All right, end the episode, man. We gotta go, man.
We do gotta go, man. All right, guys. There were 7 seasons of that show. Holy moly. Yeah. We're getting out of here. We did all the plugs. Mm-hmm. We did all the things. We did what we're talking about next week. So the only thing we got left is from me.
Careful,
and from the resident lone wanderer of the podcast.
Oh, yes. Then I survived the nuclear war.
Yes.
And I'm the main character.
And you're the main character.
Do I get a cool weapon?
It depends. Depends on your build.
Oh, cool. Can I get like a sword of some kind?
They got swords in Fallout.
Nice. Can I get like a buster sword if I'm to get a sword?
Nah, I don't think they have a buster sword.
But I didn't say that I did have.
You can get a big hammer.
I'm like
you can get a rocket launcher that shoots mini nukes.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm gonna look at myself as like all like the Oppenheimer edits I've been seeing, just like.
You can get a laser gun.
Is that a laser gun? I love Legends of Tomorrow, actually.
they got heaps of stuff in Fallout. It's great. I love Fallout. You could do morally ambiguous things. You can blow up a town. It's good stuff. I love Fallout, man. All right, that's it. We're out of here. We'll see you next week. Maybe. Definitely some Game Awards, maybe a little Godzilla. Lizard Cinema.
Lizard Cinema. What we've been told we're getting.
All right, guys, we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Peace.